them that he wasn't anywhere near them when his wife and son were had.
Right.
But then there was a Snapchat video from like 5 minutes prior to that his son had taken that had been deleted with him in the background talking.
Oh God.
But he told everyone that he was in the house napping and wasn't even anywhere near the dog kennel where this happened.
Social media saves the day.
Dude, you totally did it. And I think he knew that everything was gonna, like, the top was gonna be blown off this whole thing. And
yeah.
I don't think he intended to take out his wife. But I think
like
she
saw too much.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Witness, like, you got to go too. Like,
jeez.
Just really,
the scandals.
Really the whole thing, man. Like I said, look it up. It's wild. It's been like the talk of the town for the last
honestly,
2 years.
I'll just wait. It'll be a Netflix thriller. And
oh no, for sure. I think it might already be. Like, I think there's something on Peacock about it.
Of course.
It's crazy. There's been like whole podcasts dedicated to it. Like, it's just
wow.
It's an onion, man. They keep finding layer after layer.
The layers.
And he's like claiming that he had like an opioid addiction for the last like 20 years, but he looks fairly healthy for someone who's had an opioid addiction for the last 20 years. Like, it's just, the whole thing is just strange.
Blaming it on the drugs.
And it all happened with this boat wreck. And he was like, the night that happened, he was like at the hospital trying to get all the kids to make the story the same so that when they got asked about it, like, he wasn't allowing anybody else to go talk to these kids, but he was in there going from room to room, making sure all the stories added up. And we're this, like, just, it's wild. It's crazy.
Wow. You know what else is wild?
That this is episode 151 of Snakes and Stogies.
151 of Snakes and Stogies.
Mike Kosicki was like, "Oh yeah, there's no football tonight." I was like, "Gee, thanks, Mike."
Yay, team sports.
Thought your love of Tom Brady would take a back seat to us, but I don't know. I just pulled Tom Brady out. I don't know what Mike's team is, or if he even has a team, but
this is episode 151.
It was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. You need to go check them out. Facebook, Instagram, go on the website, BlackBoxCages.com. Use the code THN at checkout. Get 10% off your order. Yes, they're more expensive than AP, but damn it, are they a much light years better quality? Some people on the internet would rather wait an eternity to get their stuff.
It's their loss, man. It's their loss.
Whatever. That's right. And then the fine folks at Puget Sound Pythons up there in the... When have I not listened to you all? Yeah, that's true. You're right, Mike.
That is true.
People of the Pacific Northwest, Jeff and Kendra, Puget Sound Pythons, check them out as well, Facebook and Instagram. They've been doing some vending and stuff up in that area at the Pacific Northwest Reptile show. That looks pretty good. Like, the venue and stuff for that looks awesome.
It does. It really does. And their booth is fantastic. I love seeing their booth. Like everything, like the isopods, the actual reptiles,
colors,
like the Funko Pop. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome.
The branding's on point.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you smoking tonight?
Tonight I am smoking a Gurkha Estate Especial.
You and them Gurkhas, man.
Well, let's roll it. There it is. I picked this one because I am obviously nowhere near as an aficionado as you, Justin. But I thought this was interesting because I've noticed this on several cigars, and I wanted to pick your brain and see if I do like this smoke. This is a good smoke. But I wanted to pick your brain and see if this is a sign of damage, or if this is a sign of age, or if this is a particular style in which the tobacco is rolled. But I've seen this on a couple different brands, and it's usually of a larger gauge, like a 60. But I'll see if the camera can focus. But on the lighting end, you'll see, if I can get it to focus. Hold on. Let's see if it focuses. See how there's a line there, and the tobacco at the end is not wrapped in a binder?
Yep.
Is that on purpose, or is
that
this
is? So that's called considered an open foot.
An open foot. Excellent.
And so the point of that is you get the flavor of that filler and binder and then the wrapper comes in, and then you see that like you're supposed to be able to taste that change.
Awesome.
I think some companies probably pull it off better than others, but
I was gonna say
that's
I
kind
don't
of
think
the
I've
idea.
I don't ever think I've intentionally noticed it.
Because you have open foot, and then you have closed foot, which is where the wrapper's like wrapped over the end.
Okay.
And then when you light it, it goes everywhere and gets all over your stuff and burns
Yes.
holes in your shirts.
Yes. Like a cartoon cigar.
Like a Nika Rustiga, which is what I have. I take it now and I just peel off that foot because it drives me nuts, especially if you're driving and you're trying to get these things lit. Then it's just it's a nightmare.
So so it's not an actual like second cap. It's just a twist of the binder to close it, like a old school cigarette.
It's the wrapper, just the little extra that goes over the foot. So the point of that is the same as the open foot that you have there, where you're supposed to get the flavor of the fill in the binder. On a closed foot, you get the flavor, like the pure flavor of the wrapper itself, and not the filler and binder first. So,
all right. Well, now that I know it's there, I will. I'll see if I can tell the difference. And which one are you smoking tonight, Smitty?
Well, your boy's been broke, but I've been hooked on these Nika Rusticas as of late. I don't know, like the Connecticut Broadleaf, which is what I'm smoking now, and then that Adobe that came out a couple months ago. I really like that. I don't know. The price point's really good, and it's just a good smoke. So.
Good, excellent. So now I'll also say this is I get a little apprehensive on deep toasting these open foot cigars because I'm afraid I'm going to singe too much of it. So like this one, I just gave it just a light toast, as you guys can see. It actually came out on camera pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend not toasting? Do you recommend just doing what I did and kind of giving it like a little light shellac?
I mean, you want to burn it as cool as possible. Period. So. Like you're supposed to get those initial flavors, and then once that wrapper comes in, you should notice a pretty big jump in flavor there. So let's get Mike in the middle here. Let's get him sandwiched.
Nice. Yeah, so it's a good time to introduce our special guest tonight.
It is.
Hey, everybody.
We're joined by Mr. Michael Gillen.
Hello.
Hello.
Or is it pronounced Guillon?
Gillen.
Yes, our friend from the Great White North.
That's right.
Even though
so you're actually up in that sort of neck of the woods by Jeff and Kendra, right? So
yeah.
Have you gone to that show that they've been?
No, I haven't been down to any Washington shows yet.
Oh,
They're like Seattle's like 2.5, 3 hours away. Not too far.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a big Texas fauna herp guy. I know you've got some stuff coming from me here soon. So I figured we'd kind of get into that. You've been doing some pretty awesome cage-scaping, I guess would be the word for it.
Yeah, I've just been practicing that mostly.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I've sent you guys are only like 10 gallons and like a 12 by 12 by 18 exo. Because doing that on a large scale, it's going to take a lot of grout. So I wanted to play with it first on the smaller scale and see how it turned out. And so far, it's turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what are hey, I guess this question isn't terribly different for people that are in Canada, but I'd imagine it might be a little bit different. But how did you come to get into herps?
The usual dinosaurs and garter snakes and all that. There's tons of garter snakes around here. So when I was a kid, you'd go down to the dikes and they're all over the place in September and even March and February. So you can catch like 50 in a day or whatnot.
That's awesome.
Do
you guys have the big breeding balls by you? Or is that strictly like a Manitoba thing, I
think that's more like the rock crevice type thing, because you could go up to the Okanagan, and you could find, in some of the crevices, you can find like 10 rattlesnakes all coming out of the rock. So it's all the Norpax.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, you forget that croats go up that far, you know?
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised how far they go up. But there's like a part of the Fraser Canyon that kind of goes up in the middle of nowhere where they probably could be. Like there's been rubber boas and gopher snakes and racers found up that high, but you never know, you might find some croats up there. Yeah, we
Very
found
cool.
some pretty good herping spots too. Like we got one road that we can hit rubber boas basically every time we go down it.
That's awesome.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's how everybody says they're super rare, but then like we found like one pass you can find like 3 or 4 of them over this
Yeah,
like almost like mountain pass, but it's like just beside the desert. So
that's
it's
cool, man.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. And what time of year is stuff starting to pop out?
Well, for down here in the lower mainland, it's more like as if it warms up, you could probably find stuff in like January and February,
Oh, okay.
right? Like, because we get days where I guess, well, Celsius it hits like 10 sometimes, so that's like 50
Yeah, yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then like obviously salamanders and stuff. That's always going to be out as long as it's not like frozen. So those are like right now we could probably start hitting those once it starts raining a bit more.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
Is
then
there a particular type of salamander that you guys like always look for, or is it just kind of like let's see what we get?
well, we try to look for the coastal giants, the dicamps, but those are super hard to find. We had one buddy that's found one, but it's pretty tricky. But there's like 5 or 6 species that like you can consistently hit.
Nice.
Like you got the redbacks and the encetinas, and then you got the northwesterns and the longtoes. Those things you can hit all day long,
That's cool.
especially in a good rainstorm. Plus the frogs and sometimes some toads.
I always feel bad because I always envision Canada as being like this just herpetological vacuum.
Yeah, not too much. I'm pretty sure garter snakes are across the whole province, almost going up into the Northwest Territories or something like that. There's somebody had a picture of like there's one in like a provincial park in the Northwest Territories where I think there's a picture of them like literally on the snow in like May. It's like
Wow,
I don't know how they could even reproduce there, but
that's
they do.
crazy. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It would be
yeah,
cool to see rubber boas. Our buddy Doc Wyman was on Herp Talk Radio, and he was talking about. I guess he has some, and I didn't even think about it, but he had mentioned that there's sort of a theory that those might be some of the like longest lived snakes on the planet. But you think about the fact that they're pretty much down like
Yeah,
most of the year, and
mm,
they're
I think here they're moving around actually probably more than you think because we
no.
find them in the summer when it's hot out. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'll find them all night long on the was it 80, 85 degree nights.
hmm,
But then you also can find them when it's almost freezing out, I believe, in some parts. So they could be moving most of the year for all we know, which
yeah,
is
it's
pretty
wild.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think just given how slow their metabolism is, though, in comparison to
Oh yeah.
other species in our side of the world, it's wouldn't surprise me one bit if that was the case. But it's definitely a pretty cool looking species, even if it's just a sort of brown, funny looking.
Yeah. The babies are almost orange. It's pretty cool when you find we actually find more babies than we do like adults.
Really,
Like
wow,
on certain roads, like 2 years in a row, the same stretch of road, we find babies again. Uh, one of the roads is where we find croats and the Great Basin gophers a lot. And I believe in the spring on that same road you can find tigers, salamanders too. But those are really hard to find. Spadefoots in the Okanagan, super easy.
nice.
They're everywhere at like once it gets pretty dark out. They're everywhere.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Now I know, like a lot of, especially in the Southwest, a lot of stuff is very seasonal, weather based.
yeah.
They're waiting for the monsoon season and so on. Do you guys get any of that, or is it kind of just the ebb and flow of the temperatures?
I want to say it's more temperatures, like because in I think the wet season for the Okanagan, don't quote me on it, but I think it's more when it snows and stuff in the fall and the winter, so nothing's really out then.
Yeah,
And then the spring would probably be like the wettest time because we've gone up there in May and there's actually flowers everywhere and stuff. But when we go back in June or July, it's pretty much a desert.
wow,
All the grass is brown and everything. You still find lots of stuff, but
that's cool,
def-
man.
yeah,
That's cool. So just so for the people that aren't too familiar with your area, what's your closest like main city?
Vancouver.
Oh, okay, all right.
Only like right now, you could probably get there in 20 minutes.
Okay, because I was gonna say you're northwest of Vancouver.
No, more like southeast. I'm
Oh,
close. My city borders on the U.S.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
But what are
And
you currently keeping?
right now I'm currently keeping mostly oddball colubrids. I have like one Wama python that I rescued last year. Apparently it's 14 years old. I got it when it was like super malnourished and stuff, but it's a Wama python, so they kind of just bounce back right away. But he's cool. Yeah, I got Kentucky pines. I got one black and white northern pine. I got some hybrid pines because there wasn't too many available a few years ago when I wanted pines, so I caved and spent stupid amount of money on some worthless snakes.
Oh, don't say it like that.
but they're cool and I raise them up, so I'm just gonna keep them as pets.
Nice.
So yeah. Uh, but and then I got a pair of night snakes. Black milks. Black milk's probably, even though I love the Trans-Pecos and the pines, I would say my male black milk is probably my favorite snake, just because
Yeah, man. It's hard not to love those things, man.
it's the only snake you can 100% just go in and pick up every time, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're out
that's
cruising
what
around.
that's what they were saying on the last episode of Colubrid and Colubroid Radio. They were talking like half that episode was about black milks, and they all Clint and Doc Loafman and PJ all pretty much said the same thing. Like that's one of the few species that they can just reach in and grab. Like they couldn't recall ever being bit by an adult.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've heard babies musk sometimes, but I haven't even been musked by the two I got.
Nice. And you raised them from tricolor up, or
Yeah, I got the male when he was probably a year old and he was still in transition. The female I got last year and she's still transitioning right now. So I still got a few years. They definitely grow slower. I grew the male up rather quickly, but the female I'm kind of just leaving at room temperature and still eats every week, but I'm not really pushing her to grow super fast.
yeah, man. Grow 'em slow. I love it. For those of
And
you who are unaware, we're talking about Mexican black, excuse me, yeah, Mexican black milks, excuse me, and
they're Costa Ricans.
Costa
I think.
Ricans, excuse
Yeah.
me. And when they're babies, they're tricolor, much like other milk snakes and king snakes. But as they get older, they turn jet black, and they get big and fat and chunky, and they're adorable. Sorry.
Oh yeah, they definitely make good display snakes too. Like I got my male in like a 5 foot cage, and he uses every inch of it,
That's great,
which
man.
is great. And yeah, I got the Kentucky pines. Those things are super awesome. The two I got from a breeder up here. They want to kill me every time almost. But the one I imported that was actually at Daytona a couple years ago. I didn't go there, but we had friends down there that were able to. I had them looking out for certain stuff, and they found one. So, and it's turned out to be the nicest. It's a pine I can pretty much go in and pick up anytime,
That's
and it's
awesome.
like neon yellow and jet black.
Oh, that's the way to
it's-
do it, man. It is crazy you imported them.
Yeah.
Like it's bizarre, but it's facts of life.
It's not very difficult either. Like was it Reptile Express or Reptiles Express up here?
Yeah.
Like the opposite of what you guys have by like one letter. And then yeah, it's like you just ship them to New York, and then the guy drives across, picks them up, and then ships them out the same day. So
Awesome.
it's really painless. They only do it once a month though, and it doesn't start back up until like March or April
Yeah,
when
because
it's like
he got some Bairds and the pair of Subox, so we've been kind of patiently waiting to see when we can do that. And I've never shipped international, so when he was like, "Dude, it's really not that difficult," as long as it's not anything like CITES or anything like that, it's pretty easy. So now that I know that, I'm sure I'm not expecting it to be anything difficult, but
yeah. There's that's like a couple of my friends up here. They breed like high level hog nose and stuff, and most of what they sell goes straight to the States because they get your American dollar for like they can sell it for a higher price and technically get more money for it. So
Oh wow.
it's not that hard. So yeah.
Very cool.
And I also have a Paramol and Dorfi I just got from my friend.
Awesome.
She was gonna. I think might be getting a pair of double hets from Matt. So then she just sold me her pair that she's had for a couple years.
Very cool.
They definitely don't grow slow. Like it's not an over exaggeration that like what is it? The male he's like double the size of the female because
Oh,
he got a
wow.
better head start, but he's still only like subadult male corn snake size, not even.
Okay.
And the female's like yearling corn snake size. They're eating just fine. They eat like every 10 days. They take a couple mice and they're cruising. They haven't even cooled down this year yet, which I'm happy about.
Nice.
My room drops down to right now like 65 to 68. Everything's eating, warms up. I turn the heat on in the day to probably gets up to 75 to almost 80, and everything's happy and eating.
That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah, I had to turn on, plug in some heat on my racks this morning because I pulled out the pied blood red corns that I'm trying this year and the ghost tessera and castagna motley male and the ghost tessera female. Pulled them out, and then I pulled out my adult like original Ladies Island female to warm them up because those I'm planning on pairing this year. And I went ahead and fed them a day or two after that, and it was I didn't think the mice were that big when I thawed them out, and then when I gave it to them, I was like, "That's a pretty giant meal for a first meal." And so then I was kind of worried because the room lately has been getting kind of cool and hasn't been staying on the warmer side of things, like low 70s. And so, out of fear of them, yakking and giving that back and doing more damage, setting myself back, I went ahead this morning and just plugged in some thermostats and kind of got some heat on them just to keep things a little warmer. But it's been really frustrating because we're kind of back to like the ping ponging temperatures of like 56 one day and then 75 the next and then back down and like just the back and forth, man. I'm like, I usually like cold weather, but the other morning I just woke up and I'm like, I'm tired of this. I hate middle of summer, but I'm honestly like, I'm really tired of having to play this game of like what temperatures are going to be today and what heat do I have to turn on or turn off, by noon, because then it gets hot and, the entire day I'm worried that a probe or something's going to come loose and the whole rack's going to get cooked and just it's frustrating. Ambient's the way to go, but sometimes you just gotta supplement.
Yeah. I'm warming everything back. Well, not warming, but I'm turning on heating this week. So actually I was going to start with a few racks tonight and then gauge how the room goes, and then hopefully by midweek I'll have the whole venomous room up to actual warming, and then the last thing will be the Cerastes because they're the hottest, and go from there. So hopefully by mid-month everything will be up to peak temps.
Nice. Yeah, I got only a few things information this year since I was breeding hognose before, and then I decided I didn't want to deal with selling hognose, so I got rid of all those guys. And yeah, I got my male bears information just because I don't need to feed them for a few months, and the hybrid pines, like I could breed them, but I think I'll just let them do their normal thing and not breed them. But saves money on food, and then I'm also permitting my friend's Koreans, Diones, and one of her melanistic Persians. So
you guys got the right temperatures up there, especially for the Koreans and the Diones and stuff, because those need to get like cold,
Yeah, like the garage was warming up a bit, and now it dropped back down over the weekend. But it ranges from probably 40 to 55 for the most part.
Yeah, I don't. I have the Diones cooled down too. I don't know if I'm going to do those again this year or not. I definitely don't plan on doing as much as I did last year, but I have a feeling I'm going to look at them and then sort of last minute be like, you know what? It's a small clutch. It'll be fine. It'll only be a couple babies.
You can always wholesale them.
Like they're fun snakes to hatch out and stuff. I didn't hold back anything. Billy has some of the ones that I sent to Chris. So I don't know. I haven't decided. And I have to play that game where I tell myself I'm not going to pair stuff, and then I'm just going to go absolutely wild and put a bunch of stuff together last minute.
Yeah, you should do more Loma Alta stuff though this year. Although it seems like everybody's doing them recently. Like even what's his name, Casey Lazick. I saw him last June or whatever. He on Fauna. He had a whole clutch
really?
of Loma Altos for sale, and I was like, I could send somebody down to pick those up.
Yeah, I'm contemplated either doing that pair again or doing my hypo male to my female Loma and creating some hets. But I just
that was a question I had. Is Jason Hood was selling? Was it Het Hypo Loma Alta locality? Were those just like locality crosses, or were those actually hypos from Loma Alta?
No, as far as I know, those would just be locality crosses.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But the original hypo supposedly did originate from that side of the range, from like the eastern side. So it's at least fairly close to home. There is the other hypo strain that Craig Trumbauer has that's from like Davis area, which is the opposite side of the range. And then that one is supposed to, after talking to Tony D about it on Cornstars a couple weeks ago, that one is more of ends up having more yellow than it does like a pinkish hue to it. But then he also made it sound like maybe that was them pairing hypos to the Davis Mountain stuff. And it just sort of, because of that, it sort of tweaked it a bit. I don't know that it's necessarily from like Davis Mountain stock originally, like it's an entirely separate strand or not. I don't know. I need to probably dig into that a little more because I have a het hypo female of that western strand. I don't know if it is two separate strains, if those two strains are compatible with each other. I can't imagine why they wouldn't be, but
you never know.
We'll see.
And then the Subox, you have Subox coming from Justin, but then you also have Subox that you have on your own already?
Yeah, I picked up some from the same Rob Nimmo. I think he's in the Trumbauer kind of clan as well.
Okay, cool.
He had some, was it his? So I got Wild Rose Paths as well.
Nice.
And they're
it's the best locale.
From what he told me, it was Craig and Jerry Salmon collected two separate animals and bred them together to make that locality. So that's what I know about that locality.
Okay,
but
cool.
Yeah, they're super cool. I finally just got the male to eat. The female's been eating the entire time. But yeah, they're super cool. And looking through Dusty's book makes you really want all those other localities. Like there's even some of those really dark ones and stuff. It's like that'd be sweet. Nobody's gonna want it, but like that'd be sweet to work with as somebody who likes that West Texas stuff.
Oh yeah.
Same with the Bairds.
I've had really bad luck with Subox, and I'm down to one. I guess it's Anery. It's a male, and the thing's doing really great, but I've had a lot of really bad luck. So I have the one animal now. It just shed. And I look at the sheds, I want to make sure that there's no missing scale patches or any kind of funk growing on there. And going off of the cloacal separation technique that Smitty told me about in terms of boys and girls and showing the blood spots and all that, I think it actually might be a girl.
That's pretty
cool. I'm hoping that she is a girl, and within this year I'm probably going to try and find some kind of boyfriend for her. But I had a really rough time, man. So I love hearing about other people's success with Subox because I've had such a rough time.
Yeah, that's another species that seems like up there, even in sort of the colder areas, like seems like they would actually do really well with that.
Yeah, I think was it Clint Bartley mentioned in one of the podcasts he did. It might have even been the first colubrid and colubroid, where he just said add as much ventilation as you think you need and then double it or something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, very
so
true.
far I've done that actually with like pretty much all my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't seen any harm done with it. So I guess it's probably best to err on the side of caution with that type of thing, and it doesn't hurt your other animals that might not need it, but
I think it's
more
it's
airflow is probably
really
best.
overlooked. Like it's something that's severely. It's like an afterthought for a lot of things, but subox in particular, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that sort of more open air, deserty type stuff probably could afford to get more out of more ventilation. And someone asked for the subox delicate. I don't know that delicate's necessarily the word. It's just like you almost need to put more thought into keeping them drier and offering that more ventilation. And like if you do that, I think you'll be fine. Like mine are rock solid. Like that pair of wild rose pass I have, like never refused a meal, never had a bad shed, like rock solid, no problems. And I don't know, like Phil's experience with them was the complete opposite of what mine's been, which has been like those are super easy snakes to keep, and it's that same thing of like smaller than normal water dishes, at least here because we do have higher humidity and then ventilation. And they're eating machines. Like they're little monsters, man. Especially that female. If I open that
Yeah.
tub, like she thinks she's getting fed.
Yeah, I really feel like my Davis pair that I got that were like yearling size, I really feel like they got some kind of respiratory issue from ventilation. I really do. Because I had them in a rack setting with very, very similar other animals, and everyone else is fine, and they rolled. And then the baby stuff that I got, I feel like that really was stress related because they were show animals, and God only knows how many shows they had been
Oh
to.
yeah.
And because the one vendor that I got them from, although has very nice, attractive, healthy looking animals, I mean, I wouldn't have bought them if they weren't. It would not shock me if those snakes had been to 3 shows that month, and then by the time I got them, they just crashed. So
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me at all either if they were similar to bears in the fact that like kind of when they start going downhill and you don't like completely stop everything you're doing to let them just like ignore them for like weeks, just leave them be. Water changes, that's about it. Like welfare checks, cool, but bears, and I've talked about it, previously, like I've had bears crash where it's like they regurged once, for whatever reason, nothing nefarious or like crypto related or anything like that. You feed them again and you do it too soon, they're going to regurge again. And I found that when that starts, you just have to literally like stop feeding them for minimum 3 weeks usually. And then when I do put them back on food, it's the smallest thing possible, even if it's a pinky and it's like a yearling size animal, like just something small, and then slowly work back to a normal sized item. Because I've had a handful of bears, like I said, that I lost because they regurge, and then I try to feed them again, a week or 2 later, and they just regurge again. And it's just, I don't know what it is about that in particular in those, like that species, because I've never had an issue like that with anything else, but bears in particular seem really sensitive to regurge and stuff like that. And I wonder if subox, if it's not a similar thing, given that they share space.
yeah, one of the show ones I got, it slipped into that can't hold it down mode, and it got to the point where I guess it had no nourishment. Wow, say that 5 times fast. It had no nourishment because it kept regurgitating, and I wait 2 weeks and then try a very small item and it would yak, and then I wait another 2 weeks, and at that point now it's been over a month, if not a month and a half, with no food, and it's just the stress builds, and
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like the gut, flora and stuff is just absolutely obliterated, or if it's like physical trauma from regurging, and just like a combination of that and the lack of flora, or what. And I have Nutrabac that I have not tried on one of these instances. Because even with corns now or anything else, if it regurges, like I stop completely. It doesn't get offered food again for 3 or 4 weeks. Just because I find like giving them that nice amount of time and then very slowly bringing them back up seems to fix the problem, in my experience. So I don't know. I have the NutriBack. I've thought about just supplementing some of the animals with it just so they could.
And that's a powder or a liquid?
It's a powder. It's a probiotic powder basically that's supposed to help sort of reintroduce gut flora and same thing like when we take probiotics, similar thing. But
is it like livestock based?
No, it's made for reptiles. Like it's
okay.
Like a reptile based. I think it's like $25 for a jar, and it's not a very big one, but it's a super fine powder. Like a little bit goes a long way.
So then we should definitely post that somewhere if we haven't already.
Yeah, I'll have to find it.
Yeah,
I think I got it on Amazon, but
even better.
I haven't really tried it with anything, but
well, it's good that you haven't had a reason to.
It's one of those things that I kind of keep on hand in case I have to. So
yeah, but that's cool, man. I'm glad that Michael's doing the sub-ox too. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's not too many people doing them up here. There's like you see a few like Exantics or blondes kicking around, but that's really about it. No locality stuff. Same with the Bairds. You see almost no Bairds. You might see the odd Mexicans
we're fixing
pop
that.
up. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Canadian Bairds take over. The U.S. invasion.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Because up here it's still a lot of ball pythons and boas and corns are coming back here now. Finally, there's a couple big people that produce corn snakes up here now. Some of them are my guys I know, and they also breed some of the other stuff, but they still don't breed Bairds or they don't breed sub-ox. So
yeah.
I've also I definitely hit the point in my heart, even though I'm only 21, I've hit the point where it's like I don't want to deal with too many customers or even selling stuff really. I'd actually rather just give stuff away or like it's that's more fun than looking at it as a business, because if you think of it like, since when does that actually work out, especially on a small scale? You might as well just it's all that money's thrown away by now, and it's just it's your fun money that you already written off.
If it pays for itself, I'm happy. That's
exactly
pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah.
I come to find that it usually doesn't. Once you get to a certain point, it's like, it's always going to be in the red, no matter what.
Yeah.
I've been reminding myself that for 20-something years. But so what got you into the West Texas stuff?
It was Justin.
It was Justin? That's good. That's good.
And then eventually getting Craig. Like I got I've got the Bairds a year and a half ago from a friend, and then that year is also the first time we went to the Okanagan to actually look for rattlesnake stuff really hard. And since then, it's all you really want to do.
That's it, man.
And then reading Craig's book and reading Dusty's book. There's definitely like a charisma about West Texas. There's that
magical, man.
Exactly.
It is.
I still need to go there, so I just need to find people to go there with.
Yeah, man. It's definitely a trip that Smitty and I will remember for as long as we live. And we need to go back. I
can't wait to go back.
A lot of people say like they're not into that style of herping in terms of like hitting all the cuts and hugging the road, and it's so unique to that area. Like it's just
I like doing it. I just don't like doing it at 3 a.m.
Well, it's because you're a little baby poop face.
I'm old. I'm a 90-year-old man in a 32-year-old body, man. I just like that. Like 12 o'clock rolls around, and even that's a late night for me. Like we were asleep by 9 o'clock last night.
Well, this is my thing. We saw animals that we didn't find, but they're there, you know? And like we were in the Loma Alta area we saw a DOR Transpecos. We saw someone else's Lepidus. You know what I mean? So like,
we saw a whole car full of people's other stuff.
yeah, don't get me started. But I want to go back and I want to find those three, man. Like, yes, Alterna would be awesome, but like baby steps, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to go. We got to go back. We got to go.
I
back.
was happy with what we found.
Of course I was. Absolutely. I'm not discrediting that in the least capacity whatsoever. I mean, but I want to go back. I want to see a subbuck that's alive. You know?
I want to go back to Davis Mountains and Alpine.
Yeah, dude. Davis Mountains, like, especially now that I got my own Leps from Davis, I got to see him in the flesh.
And I think if you're looking for bears, I think your best bet is Davis, because if you go on like iNaturalist and stuff, a very, very, very large percentage of the sightings and stuff of bears is like Davis.
Yeah. I want to try and find some of those ranchers that rent their land for herpers. I really want to do that, and just it's worth paying a few extra bucks to have your own private stomping ground, you know, even if for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah,
I definitely want to hit if I go, I want to hit the Davis. I was almost itching to go like 2 years ago, even watching Noah Fields videos. It's like you could just put that on loop and watch it all day, kind of thing.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's even cooler when you can go there and see that exact same cut and stuff that he's walking on. Like, you can go to those same cuts, and like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It's just cool because like we saw other cars of people also walking cuts, and like it's so strange. Like, that was a odd thing for me, was it being such a part of like the culture there to a degree. Like, that whole sort of part of that state is known as like sort of a mecca of sorts. And even Border Patrol stops you, and when they see the vest and they see the hooks, they're like, "You find anything cool?" Like,
herper's
it's
privilege.
just weird. It's
herper's privilege.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's awesome. Yeah. And you know what else too is I think I was a little spoiled. I love driving. I absolutely love driving and being the driver, and I got to drive that trip. And a lot of times it sucks because I don't get to soak in the scenery the rest of the passengers get to, you know. But it was super cool because like at night it's pitch black. All you see is like cliff walls, and like you're herping the cut, and like, yeah, you might see some stars. We saw a lot of stars, let's be real here, but you'll see some sky, you'll see some skyline. But then we get to like drive through it during the day and seeing the difference, and like, dude, Purple Mountains Magistry, like epic, just epic landscapes.
Yeah, your Arizona trip sounded super fun too, because that's another trip I definitely want to do, is the Sky Islands. And seeing all that cool stuff, which is totally different and separate, but like it's the same kind of trip, right? Where you're out there, and it's
see, that was
animals.
That was my first time going to East and South Arizona, and I love Arizona's climate because it is so diverse. I mean, an hour and you're just in a completely different world, you know? And the in between these Sky Islands is different deserts, and like, it's just Arizona's a monster unto itself, man. It's epic.
Because there's a bunch of trips you could do there.
Oh yeah,
like Western Arizona and SoCal, and even Northern Arizona, and that, like, you got all the night lizards and stuff, and sidewinders and the corals, and even the big toads. Like, all that stuff is super cool.
Yeah, man. I got to go back. I got to find Price Eye. It's got to happen. I want to do New Mexico more too. I feel like there's a lot of different species in New Mexico, and I feel like because it's in between Texas and Arizona, it kind of gets the short end of the stick, which I feel bad. And there's a lot of really nice stuff in New Mexico.
Yeah, but the laws are stricter there too.
Yeah, but I don't think yes, the laws are stricter, but it's not as bad as I think it is in our heads. I mean, we're not keeping stuff anyway, you know.
Right, but
yeah,
I don't know.
try finding Alterna or Subox. Well, I'm with Phil. It's like Alterna would be cool, but I'm more there to see Subox or Bairds or the blacktails and stuff like that. That would be the
Yeah,
that would just make the trip in itself.
yeah,
Dude, that freaking patch nose we found, like the blues on that thing.
I know.
I'd
Forget
never
about
seen
that
anything like it.
snake.
I always thought they were just like a hay colored stripe. Like this thing straight up
Yeah,
had like baby blues on it and stuff.
yeah,
It was just wild. And then I guess that was also kind of the biggest disappointment of the trip because I saw it sitting on the trail and for like a half a second I was like, it's a Baird's. Because it had like a slight pattern to it, like it would have been
yeah.
a Baird's, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that what I think it is?" And then I take a closer look, and I'm like, "It's not."
Still cool.
Still very cool.
Yeah, I wonder what I would have to do though to get the herping permit for Texas, since I'm technically not in the country. Probably shouldn't be that hard. It would probably
Just
just
be a
be like
Yeah,
non-resident.
it's just non-resident. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I wasn't
Yeah.
totally sure.
yeah, and I do say this on multiple fronts is that Canada is the only country in the world that has a lot of foreign national rules kind of not looked at. You know what I'm saying? It's like in terms of getting a driver's license, in terms of having
Oh.
non-alien residency. Like we have a lot of partnerships with Canada that make it super
Oh,
easy
yeah.
for a guy like yourself to go down and do some herping. You know?
Oh yeah, there's the what is it, the Nexus. You can
Oh
a lot of
yeah,
people up here use Nexus, and like people who live in like Tawasin or South Surrey here. I live in Surrey, but like people who live a little bit more south, they just get their fuel across the border because it's cheaper.
yeah.
Yeah, you were
They get half
telling
their
me that,
groceries and
dude.
stuff. Yeah.
It's wild. I was like, because he was like, yeah, it's like a lot of people go, to Oregon and buy gas, and I'm like, there is no way gas is cheaper in Oregon than it is up there. And he
Sure.
like,
Or
no,
Oregon's like 6 hours away. Yeah.
Washington. Sorry.
I've been to Oregon, or like even just doing a Washington or Oregon trip would be cool because they have a bunch of stuff that doesn't reach all the way up here,
Sure.
or stuff that's like apparently lives here, but like you never see it. Like the
Yeah.
desert night snakes, like they're the hardest thing to find in Canada, and like I try every time I go out there, but like yeah, good luck. I think most of their range is probably on native land anyways, so it's kind of. I'm not even sure if you're really supposed to be out there. But like finding all the other stuff is easy. But yeah, like or going down to Washington or Oregon, night snakes, and even was it the Columbia River where there's apparently Zonata on
Oh really?
INET has a couple Zonata sightings. I know
Really
that's a meme among the herpers in Washington, but
interesting.
apparently they are there because there's like because they're found in Southern Oregon, but then there's a weird. It's almost like they were released there or something, but like people found them for I think quite a while actually. So
Very cool. Very interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then you look at the like rubber boas. Like you find 3 in a night. There's people in Washington, Oregon that have spent years looking and never found them.
And it's probably easier to find them down there. Like, I think, like I drive like 3-4 hours to go look for them up in the Okanagan, where it's a desert. But like, I think we can actually look for them closer. Like even going north of Whistler. Whistler's where they have the Winter Olympics and stuff. But there's a population in that valley above Whistler and stuff, and I think even up by Harrison, there's another population apparently. But it's kind of just like easier to just go out to where you know they are rather than trying to find these spots.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about night snakes, are you talking like Hypsiglena?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
those were a highlight for Texas for me, man. Because we saw a ton of them, and like that was just the coolest little snake. And eventually,
the
Nachschlagen. Eventually, I do want to try them, especially seeing Connor Wardle, have them and breed them and hatch them, and the setups he has them in are really neat because it sort of mimics the rock faces, and like those are just cool little snakes, dude.
Yeah, and there's so many different species too, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So like the ones that you have up by you, Michael, they're not the same as the ones in West Texas.
No, I don't believe so.
Right,
I think the ones up here are kind of northern night snakes or something like that, desert night snakes.
Okay.
So they're more like you'd probably find them. You find them in like Idaho and Washington, Oregon, maybe a bit further south too.
Very cool. Do you guys get those desert tentilla up by you? Those desert.
No,
Okay.
but I think there was one on INAT in Washington, not too far from the border, and somebody might have found one actually in Canada, but I never saw any pictures. It was kind of like a rumor.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Like
cool.
there's a few of those where it's like Fish and Wildlife might have, or our conservation officers might have found like a rubber boa, like kind of more into close to my house, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're
Or
probably around.
it's one of those things where you see something that you go on a naturalist, and I mean, let's use a common city that everyone knows, like Orlando. Okay. And in downtown Orlando, where all like the hotels and clubs and bars and stuff are, somebody found an Eastern Diamondback. And it's like, no, that's not where they found it. They found it an hour east, but at the same time, that's where they're staying for their trip. So that's where they posted it for my naturalist.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think INET has like when you blur where it's actually found, it's like a 20 kilometer thing is
Oh, is
what
it really?
so what is that, like 10 miles or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of close, so you can probably guess where it actually was found, but
hmm
it's not obviously not exact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I bring up the Orlando thing because I've physically seen it in like my town. Like somebody found an Eastern Diamondback on the beach in Boca Raton. And it's like, no, you did not find it there. You found it 2 hours north and in the bush in the palmetto scrub, but you drove home and you did it at 2 a.m. when you were laying in your hotel room, you know?
Yeah, and forgot to change the location
Yeah,
to
or
somewhat.
no, they leave it there
Or,
on purpose. They
oh
don't
yeah,
care.
that
Yeah.
yeah.
They want to post their picture and get the tick on the list, but they don't want people to actually know where they found it. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at Hypsiglena on Google right now.
share the wealth, brother. Post that stuff. Because if I try and post any pictures, it's going to crash.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking, like there's Hypsiglena torquata, which is Okanagan Valley.
Yeah, Okanagan.
Okinawa.
Yeah, I think that valley goes into Washington. So Jeff and Kendra, I believe, should know that. Yeah, because that's Washington. When you actually look at the map, like a good portion of the state's actually like desert scrubland, like perfect for Norpax and Great Basin gophers. And then rubber boas, you find them in the desert, but you also find them in the longleaf pine forests and even in like the more temperate rainforest too. They're definitely easier to find though in the shrubland and the longleaf pines.
Well, there's that, and then there's Chlorophaea, which says stretches from like Sonora and Sinaloa all the way up to Idaho, Washington.
Oh wow, it's a hell of a range.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure on the taxonomy with the Hypsiglena because it's probably one of those things that's not really studied as much as it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
That was just such a cool little species, man. And like the fact that you could like play with them and they don't care.
Apparently, the ones up here are pretty big too. Or compared to the ones in West Texas, they're big.
Yeah, I mean those the ones that we didn't come across any that were like abnormally large. They were all. I think the biggest one we found was like what? Not even like a yearling corn size.
Yeah. Yeah. What, like 15 inches, maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're found around where the western skinks are, but I've never found any of those, even though I've looked pretty hard for those too. But those are almost weird because like they're on like only on the east side of that valley up to like Kelowna, and then they're also in the Kootenays though, which is like some valleys to the east of the Okanagan, but there's not much else there. Like you get a couple small populations of gophers or racers and stuff, but they actually have quite a range over there, which is kind of weird. So maybe all that stuff used to range a bit further in the past.
Very
These
interesting.
Baja California nights are really nice.
Oh yeah, super cool.
Slebeni.
Very, very lyrish.
Almost looks. Yeah, I mean it looks like damn it, Antaresia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like a lyre snake crossing a heteresia.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Lyre snake head with a children's python body.
With like a dash of boiga in the mix there.
Yeah, or a dash of
Oh, yeah.
telescopus.
I'd actually be interested to see if these are somewhere on that phylogenetic tree of telescopus and
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. And it also wouldn't shock me if they were epistoglyphic despite not necessarily having longer fangs.
Like that's
Yeah,
way
they're-
bigger than what we saw. But I mean, it's a different species.
Yeah,
But still,
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's about the size of most of the stuff we found.
yeah. This right here was like the biggest, I think.
That's gonna be hard to spot.
Well, and that was kind of the tickers. Like, we know we're not bad at this because we're finding those and they're tiny, so we're just not seeing anything.
Oh yeah, that's what we're like too. Because where we are, like, you're probably technically not even supposed to touch any native wildlife, but we road cruise and find stuff. Where we go, there's like there's barely any cars anyways, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Other than the people in the lifted F-350s whizzing by you, but other than that, it's pretty easy just to road cruise and do your thing, or even hiking for stuff. I've wanted to try a bit harder at that, but it's almost easier just to road cruise because it's like the easier thing to do.
Yeah. Do you have friends or acquaintances that have acreage of land that you could herp on?
No.
Okay.
I don't know anybody out there that has acreage. Although there's some of them are for sale, but they're not really herping land necessarily. Actually, there's a couple. There's one on the road where we look for rubber boas, and it's like, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Of course, that's like in Vancouver, like every house is now $2 million, but still, it's up a dirt road that, like, in the winter, do you want to go down that road when it's when there's a foot of snow?
Yeah. Even still, you could.
on these damn things somewhere.
It might be time for you to write one.
I don't know anything about them.
Well, that's why you do the research and write the book. Look at that photo. Oh, it's an awesome photo with the shadow. Yeah, man, definitely North American telescopus for sure.
Oh
wow, look at the bands on that.
What is that?
What is that? That is that.
Tanzeri.
Wow.
Where's that from?
Tanzeri.
That is not American.
That's
Canadian.
Probably. I'd say that's Mexican.
That's got to be like Yucatan or something.
Yeah. Don't the lyre snakes got a change pattern down there too?
Yeah.
St. Louis Potosi, Querétaro, Hidalgo,
Okay.
Guanajuato.
So mid-central. Very cool.
Of course, Mexico has the cool ones.
I know, right? Oh,
Cooler
God.
ones.
What's that one on the guy's finger?
Torquata.
Very cool.
Like, I like when they do the cinnamon bun thing too. I didn't see any of ours do that when we found them.
Yeah, ours were very on the move, you know.
That's another Baja. It's Torquata Boweri.
That's awesome.
They are cool.
They are definitely cool. They're Nachschlagen.
Ooh, okay.
Very cool. Yeah, so for people who are unaware, night snakes, Hypsoglenna, check them out. Do some Googling.
Oh yeah. Not to be confused with the Pseudolaphe. They're also cool, but they're totally different.
Yeah.
Those are pretty wild too, because I've seen pictures of those climbing a ceiling of a cave, like upside down.
Oh yeah, I think that's that species I don't think is in the hobby. I think I know which picture you're talking about. Because and then of the other species, they say there's 3 subspecies, but talking to Yazzer, he said they're probably all just mixed up in the one hobby species we kind of got now. Like there could be some different in Europe, but from what I can tell, is Europe doesn't actually have much different from what we have, because Europe gets what we have and then ships it back to us.
Yeah.
And what was the genus on that one again?
Pseudolaphe.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I got a pair of those guys. They're cool, but you're never gonna see them during the day, no matter what. Like subox and beards they'll come out during the day, even though they're like nocturnal snakes. But no, these guys they will not come out until the lights are off.
I think Gron has some, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does.
I think he has at least a pair. But he seems to enjoy them. I think everyone that I know of that's at least kept them said they were pretty cool. I think there was a similar sentiment of you're not going to see them much unless you're in the room when it's dark. But...
Yeah. Yeah, that is right up Gron's alley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So is there like what species do you not see really up there that you see more, down here as far as people keeping? Like what's the species you want to see more of up there?
Well, there's a lot. But like even like Mollendorfi, I believe I'm probably one of maybe a handful of people that have them up here, kind of thing. Like there's probably more, but I think a lot of the guys that keep the cooler stuff definitely keep to themselves up here. And then there's just a lot of probably ball python people that come in and out of it, and then there's a lot of people. Actually, there's a couple people in the recent years that have bought like 200 animals, and then they decide they get in way too over there, and then they sell everything, and then nobody actually wants what they have. So yeah, so there's a bit of that, but for that, like even seeing Centicollis, like I think I've seen one or two up here. Those would be super cool to see. Even Spilotes, you see some of the import stuff, but you don't see obviously no Mexicanus type things.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be super cool. Puffing snakes, fire and axe. Those are really cool too. Russians, they're up here. My friend has some, and I believe there's a couple other people working with those. Well, there's two people with breeding pairs of rough scale pythons. Though, but only one of them's actually breeding them. So that'd be Don Patterson, which you guys probably know.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's going to do it, Don will.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he never comes to any shows though. He's strictly he barely sells to anybody in Canada, let alone his business model is totally overseas, which is the smart way to do it. But
is there any venomous laws up there?
Oh yeah, they're like Ontario and Manitoba, I think, are the last kind of places where you can legally do it, but that's probably going to change soon. It sounds like the venomous community up here is very tight-lipped and pretty quiet about what they do, which is a good thing because then they only let in certain people to it.
Sure.
Like my province, there's no way you're keeping any venomous.
Wish they'd do that here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've heard of some people like getting bit and stuff, but you never see it on the news, which is good. But yeah, like Ontario, like I think where Daffy is, he could move 20 minutes out of town and keep everything.
Oh wow!
You could keep a lion and tiger there still.
Wow.
Like Ontario and Quebec, I think has laws now, but I think you can get permits to keep it. Here, there's no way you're getting a permit here.
Yeah.
You could only get a permit if you had the animal before the law, and that was 14 years ago now. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that have like Gila monsters or something still, but that's it. Because those things are going to live for 50 years.
Yeah, for sure.
What about like larger constrictors and larger lizards? Because
they're in the same thing.
Are they?
Yeah, and then there's a new law federally coming in with banning a bunch of boas, and it's banning the big cats and stuff, but then it's also banning like some boa constrictors and like olive pythons and
Is
retics
this
and
stuff that gets over a certain length,
poplins.
or do they do it by weight?
For that, I think it was just stuff they came up with on a list, but like they put like Dominica boas on it and stuff. Like it's like those are like extremely rare constrictor species, right? That like I don't even think they're their own species right now. So it's like how
They don't
can
even
you
get
make
that
up a
big,
species and put it on a list?
right?
But like olives here, technically olives, walmas, blackheads, waters, maclots, and apodora. If they get over 10 feet, you technically need a permit, but I don't think anybody does it. You just kind of shut up and keep your snakes, kind of thing.
Interesting.
And boa constrictors are on that, and imperators too.
Wow.
Wow.
But everybody still keeps those here for now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm taking care of a couple olives right now. Because a local guy passed away, so he had a whole like 200 snakes that me and my friend are currently liquidating / taking care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, man. He looked pretty young.
Yeah, he was only 38.
Wow.
Yeah. And they still haven't found they literally have video of the truck going down the street and then the two guys running back down the street after they crushed him. So
Damn.
Damn. There was so the folks at the Canadian Herpetoculture podcast. I don't remember exactly where they were, but they were like where they were at was really strict on what they could and couldn't have.
yeah, I know Alberta has some other laws, like you can't keep Russians there and Diones. And then like it's the same laws as here where you can't keep Gonyosoma there, which is dumb.
What?
But you
Why?
can keep a Barons and you can keep a false water cobra. We can't keep those here.
That's
Wow.
So it's each province is kind of different. In Saskatchewan, in the last year, redid their laws, but then there's one guy that was trying to weasel his way into keeping everything that wasn't on the list too, by like Louisiana pines and stuff like that. When it only said you could keep the other pines,
Hmm.
and then and then eventually, because he kept putting in the permit thing after it said that you can't bring in animals after like a certain date, right? And he was still doing it, and even though he was filling out the form, they eventually came to his house and said that you have to get rid of everything. But
Wow.
they used to you could keep an alligator there, but you couldn't keep a ball python or sand boa kind of thing.
That's wild.
But now, like, I wouldn't be complaining if I was there because like they made blackheads legal. Like you can
Yeah.
keep a bunch of normal cool stuff. You can keep most pine snakes and a majority of like the main part of the hobby you can keep there, which is for the better, I think.
That's just odd. Like, what's the reasoning behind putting these laws in place if they're all sort of coming down at a similar time frame?
I think it's more just the politicians wanting to do something as well as the SPCA and that type of thing, trying to get a grip on stuff. But for now, I think the laws are like people really shouldn't be keeping retics or anacondas for the most part, right? Most people, or water monitors, right? Most people can't handle those anyways, and it's not like you can. Florida is a good example of how you could do it properly, but obviously they're getting more strict now, as you know, Phil.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like everybody could have done that and just kind of kept it a baseline and just made that the generic thing across North America. But obviously everybody wants to do something different. And then I think Ontario is trying to do a positive list as well, which would be terrible. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Is there
Yeah.
like a USARC type organization up there?
I think we were trying to do it, but I'm not sure how well that's working out. Because there's a couple big industrial people that are fronting the money for that type of stuff in the first place. So it's kind of up to
Really
them.
uphill battle kind of thing.
Yeah, like there is guys here that Don was one of them, and some other guys that kind of got kicked out of the hobby / other things. They were the ones that kind of fought our battle back in 09 before I was even keeping stuff. So that's when retics and that all got banned because I think somebody got mauled by a tiger, so they made a list.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah. But then they kept boas and stuff off the list, so that was good for them. But like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Confiscate 50,000 boa constrictors across Canada? Like that's probably not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Be like Florida banning iguanas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're a little late.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly
Exactly.
right. Yeah, the 6-year-old kid who finds a baby iguana in his backyard and says, Dad, can I keep it? And Dad says, sure, let's go get a cage for it. And then they set it up in their backyard. And then he gets a $500 fine from the state.
Yeah. I think here the law enforcement's probably a bit more, not necessarily lenient, but they would, like, I think if they found a kid keeping some garter snake or something, it would just be like just let it go kind of thing.
Hmm.
Not necessarily that's a good thing either, but like they
Yeah.
they wouldn't be as as strict on it for the most part, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
My justice will be swift.
Mm.
I had something else just a second ago.
Well, what are on your horizons for new acquisitions or breeding projects or?
Right. Well, mostly Justin stuff right now. I want to actually get most of the stuff I have in the kind of display cages, or at least kind of, because I
Sure.
found like doing the hog nose and the racks, that was it kind of gets boring, right? Like you're not seeing the animals as much. You can't just like sit in
Yeah.
the room and watch them, kind of thing.
Sure. Sure.
And yeah, it would be cool to see if like you can breed them just as well in a cage as you can in a tub. So that's one thing I want to try. Well, in the future, I'm also kind of holding off on getting too much more, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Is also just holding back what I produce too. Is like, well, I'm gonna breed Kentuckys, and I have a 1.2 pair. I'm probably gonna keep 1.1 from at least each clutch, right? And kind of line breed those, or do whatever I want to do with those. And same with the sub boxes. I'll eventually have 2.2.
Hmm.
So that'll be like, I'll see what comes out and probably choose a few different things. And
Yeah.
it would be cool to line breed night snakes and make them actually red instead of the brown color.
Sure. That'd be
So there's
awesome.
all that.
That's
Black
good,
milks,
man.
they're more like they're black, like they're cool, but then like you don't really need to line breed them. They're kind of something that's just cool how they are.
Yeah.
So
Well, you breed them to make more, to spread the love.
oh yeah, yeah. There are quite a few people making them now, so I'm not really in a rush to breed them because I think their market's kind of filling up because everybody that like because there's the Mexican black phase, and up here the black milk's kind of caught on right then as well. So they were some people were trying to get $500 a piece for them up here.
Yeah.
Like they went way up in price, and now you can't sell them for 350 kind of thing.
Wow.
So
I think they're still pretty expensive in our neck of the woods.
oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think you guys definitely have a bigger market too. So like
True.
that's
Very
where it's
true.
also like well, if it doesn't sell here, I can just list it on Morph Market and sell it down to you guys.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
I'm
Yeah.
fully on board with the Baird's invasion.
Yeah, we need to do that.
I will be happy to facilitate.
Yeah, those I think more people need those up here. Like corns and stuff are popular, but bears are. Why get a like? I love the corns too, and I do eventually want to get some the Jasper County or the your neck of the woods corns, but well then I think of it and it's like, well, I could just do Baird's instead of the corns, or that's another pair of subox or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's eventually I will get them, but it's trying to stay focused as focused as I can be, right?
It's hard.
Oh yeah.
So hard.
It is.
Is it blasphemous to say that the black milks might be better than dry Marcon?
I would say that. I haven't kept dry Marcon, but black milks.
Well, Phil has. Phil, I mean, have you had both? You've had.
I've had both. Yeah, I've had both. I would say that they're very different. I would say on like a pet level, we go milk snake all the way. You know what I mean? Like in terms of a pet that like you could take out and play with, and like
For what reason?
what do you mean?
Why?
temperament, and I don't mean temperament like in terms of biting, because indigos don't bite and black milks don't bite, but indigos don't really sit still, and they're so heavy bodied, especially once they get to adulthood, that you can't just like sit on the couch and like play with your indigo. Like, it just doesn't work. They're very, very
Good pivot on the rephrase there, buddy.
yeah, right. They're very they need to stretch out, they need to sprawl out. So like keeping the body distributed evenly can be difficult. While as I feel like the milks are very much king snake, milk snake ish. They're Lamprepeltas, so you can roll them in a ball and kind of just hold them in your hand and play with them. And I would feel more comfortable handing a child the milk opposed to the indigo, simply because the indigo is not going to sit still and it's going to want to flop around. And the milk's a better pet snake. It is. Let's be real.
For sure.
And they don't get as big. I mean, they get big, don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
For me, I put them on the same exact level in terms of keeping and enjoying. The Dramarcon probably poops more, but it's still Lamprepeltis on the milk side, so like it's gonna equally poop a lot,
Yeah.
I also can say that in terms of like diet, they're both eating machines, but the milk snake is way more forgiving health wise on an all rodent diet.
Oh yeah.
That would make
Actually,
sense.
we lucked out up here. We found some local quail breeders, so our rodent bills are now very low.
Nice, good. That's good.
So I like my pines. Like, I can keep those hybrid pines fairly cheaply, because I can just give them some like fairly small quail. Like, just feed them 2 or 3 a meal every week or 2, and they do just fine.
Yeah.
I've also found that like keeping the pines, like everybody says you have to feed them a ton, but they hold their size and stuff by even just feeding them a small meal every week, or waiting 2 weeks and then feeding them a meal. Like they they definitely don't need to be as fed as much as other people have said. Obviously, watch the body weight of your animal, but
Sure.
for the most part, I've found, like, even right now, since my room is cooler, I'm only feeding every 10 to 14 days, like a smaller meal, and everything's holding weight and doing just fine.
Yeah, I definitely say that the milks don't have the hummingbird metabolism that the Dramarcon do.
Yeah, they're very. It's odd. Like, they definitely shed all the time, but they also, like, sometimes they'll be out cruising around all day long, and other times they'll be in the hide. They'll be in the humid hide for a week straight. So it's
What are you keeping yours on?
I just keep my the juvenile. I set up like a 15-gallon with a bunch of leaves and cypress and cocoa blocks and cork bark and stuff and branches, and it loves that. But the adult male, I threw a couple branches in there and some hides and a humid hide, and he does just fine. He also has a UVB bulb on him. It would be nice to eventually have everything under UVB, but that's not cheap either.
And does the Gaijai's bask a lot or no?
I'm sure if I had a heat lamp on him, he'd bask a little.
Okay.
But I've also, like, when I was raising him up, and I had him in a rack or something, and he would never be on the heat really. Like, even if the hot spot was only like 75 and the room temperature is like 70, he would prefer to be on the cooler side still. So it's kind of, you definitely notice that they don't really enjoy the heat as much. But I'm sure they would definitely bask if you gave them like a 25-watt bulb.
Sure. Especially by you, it gets colder for longer, so I imagine that. Yeah.
In the summer, my room holds temp pretty well, but and in the spring and fall, but like right now, it's definitely more of a turning that room heater on a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool.
I still need to get a damn heater.
And see, I started doing my homework on air conditioners, so that this summer I want to be ready in summer, so that when winter comes, I can get shit really cold. So
well, it would just be nice for, like, instead of having to worry and turn on certain racks because I need stuff to make sure they keep food down, to just have like an oil-filled heater like Bratz has, and just turn that on like a lower setting or something, and just heat the whole room a little bit more. Everything gets the benefit of it.
Yeah, I'd also watch out for probably not leaving it on the whole time, because it can heat the room up pretty hot pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I will say this: I would not get an electric one. And if you are going to get an electric one, watch it.
No, I don't trust those things at all, because that's another reason. Bratza showed me the oil filled ones that he uses, and I like those way more than the electric ones. And if I was going to put one out with like the rats and mice and stuff, it'd have to be that one because it's so dusty and stuff in that
Yeah.
shed that it's like that's just a fire waiting to happen. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
can't have Smith Farms burning down.
How are the rats doing?
Producing
Good. Excellent.
a lot. I'm
My new rodent guy.
still sort of trying to, like, I've been taking females that have either dropped litters or look like they're about to and separated them into like a separate. They get a whole concrete tub basically, and instead of like a smaller maternity tub, they get like a full blown thing. Because I have so many empty ones now, because I still have like 1.5 racks that don't even have anything in them. That I
Nice.
just go ahead and separate those females, and then usually I'll take another female from that tub and put her in with her. Mostly just so they're not sort of by themselves, but also for the sake of like extra heat, so they can curl up together and
Yeah.
stay warm. But it's pretty like I almost like them more than mice in the regard that like when I can tell when they have litters because they make those mound nests in the corners.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to know that like because if they don't have any litters, like they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is a litter or there's a litter coming, like it's very obvious that they mound up and make it happen. And I can usually hear the pups and stuff. But yeah, so far, I mean, they've been producing like crazy. I need to rotate some this weekend, like move some males around. But yeah, I mean, they've been doing good. Burning through freaking food, man. Like I've gone through like 100 pounds of food already in like a month.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And are you like selecting moms for certain harvest? Like, okay, this mom I'm gonna take the pinkies. This mom I'm gonna let her get it to pups. This mom I'm gonna wean them and do wean rounds. Okay.
I've pretty much just been letting them have them, and then I definitely need like weaned for the stuff that's going to be coming out of brumation soon. So that's kind of been the hardest part, is like playing catch up right now and trying to make sure that I've got enough to cover what I need to cover, but then also holding on to enough to keep the colony going. So, and then there's the mice are I've kind of switched things up with them as far as groups and stuff, and I seem to be getting a little more litters out of them. So it's been
cool.
I feel like I've just been treading water with them as of late, but
you're gonna have to get another freezer.
Yeah, we bought a new fridge today. So
no, I was saying you're gonna have to get like I have like the chest freezer in the barn, so you can just stack your Ziploc bags of rodents.
Oh yeah, I mean my dad has 2 freezers in the garage, and usually I'll steal one and fill that with, because I vacuum seal everything and all that. So I usually put them in he has like a bigger like stand up freezer, like a big like whole fridge size one, and I'll usually put them in that because that one's newer and I trust it to not crap out.
Yeah,
that's my second biggest fear is having a freezer full of stuff that goes out, and then I have to trash it all, and those all got euthanized for no reason. So
yeah,
that would suck. But
yeah,
how many rodent suppliers are up your way?
There's a few. Like there's definitely like people like you that would maybe breed like enough to supply a couple people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like CTC. They're on the Vancouver Island. They supply most of the rodents, I believe. And then Tyrone out in Alberta, Canadian Mouse Man. He breeds a bunch of mice.
Canadian Mouse Man.
It's a great name. It's a great name.
Oh yeah, he breeds the black milks and the night snakes and stuff too. And
oh, cool.
He has Bahamian boas and some other cool stuff.
Nice.
Oh yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. I think he was actually on that Scaled show with Greg West and that. Those guys are all from Alberta. That's Greg West guy. He's the guy we get our cages from mostly.
Cool.
They're more like the boaphile type cages, I guess you guys would call them.
Yeah, hard plastic, glass front.
Well, you can get plexiglass and stuff too. Yeah. And then, yeah, there's probably a ton more out east and stuff. Like Ontario is way bigger than out west here. Like, there's definitely a community out here, but Ontario and Quebec definitely probably like
Sure.
they have shows once a month. While out here we have, I think Alberta has 6 or 7 shows a year, and then BC only has like 2.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Mm.
wow. Have you ever gone to the East Coast shows?
No, I haven't been to the East Coast. I've been to the U.S. more than I have to anywhere out east.
So you've never been to every province?
No.
Oh, you're kidding me, bro. You got
They're
to do
freaking
it.
huge, man.
You
Yeah.
got to do it.
I've been to Alberta, but that's about it.
Yeah, I still got to do. I got to do Alberta. I got to do Yukon, and I think that's it. No, Yeah, I think that's it.
Can
Where did you
dress
go
like
when you came
Yukon
to BC?
Cornelius?
What's that?
Where did you go when you came to BC?
Vancouver and Victoria.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like Victoria. It was very, very pretty.
Oh yeah, it's definitely more of like a older style town.
Yeah, very European.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
But it's super small too. Like, and it's like the old person kind of place. Like, there's definitely a lot more like old people there, and it's the island, so like it's pretty expensive to go back and forth. So if you're on the island, you're kind of there's a few people that probably travel to work every day, but yeah, you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. I get
They
it.
have they actually have some cool things over there. Like, they got the sharp-tailed snakes, which are like some weird little tiny ground snake that
Really,
is only found there, other than one relic population up on the mainland.
that's
And they
cool.
also have wandering salamanders, which don't exist in Washington or Oregon, I think, but then they're down in California.
That's
Pretty
cool.
pretty odd.
Yeah, I think I've never herped anywhere in Canada, but I think my favorite Canadian place I've been to is probably Prince Edward Island, just in terms of like very chill, the rolling green hills. There was an emu farm, which I thought was crazy,
That's pretty cool.
and it did the whole the bays in between Nova Scotia and PI, and walk on the ocean floor, and it was cool, man. I loved it.
Yeah, that's probably a trip I have to do eventually.
Yeah, man, it was definitely cool.
Yeah, definitely West Texas though. We need to. It'd be cool to get another group together, even get Bobby Pebbles to put
Sure.
another trip together. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we should
If
do
he
that.
says, let's go to Lost Mine, say no. Save yourself.
I thought it would be cool almost to do a trip where you go from El Paso down into the Davis, but I'm not sure if you guys have been there, so you guys probably know where the better part to do that spot is.
Well, see, I look at it as those are two different trips. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like, I feel like El Paso and East New Mexico has its own areas of terrain, and then when you think West Texas, even though El Paso is as west as you can get, I don't feel like El Paso is really like the quintessential, Sanderson Mecca, Davis
Yeah.
Mountains,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah. I get what you mean.
But I
Del
definitely
Rio
gotta
Chili's
go.
is trash.
Yes. But that one restaurant we went to in Del Rio, that one Mexican restaurant was delicioso.
Oh, I
Pretty
bet.
It was amazing. when my phone thought that I had crossed the border.
Yeah, we get that down here. You drive on the Zero Ave and your phone's like, "Oh, welcome to the U.S." It's like, still in Canada technically.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
I can
right.
see the border guard across the street.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, you need to get to Daytona too, man.
Yeah,
You do.
that was on my list too. But then talking to like Rob Memo and that, he's like, Daytona's awesome, but you should go to West Texas first.
A carpet breeder named Han. He's up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. He's actually, I think he's on the Reptile Club board with me.
Oh, cool. He
Yeah,
comes
Got
down to Daytona.
chondros and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if he can come down, you can come down.
Oh yeah, no, I've definitely was borderline gonna do it last year. Just trying to do the trip that's like I'll obviously do both of them eventually, but it's it's hard to choose. It's hard to I want to definitely go down with a group for sure for West Texas, but
Yeah.
Daytona, I'd have to probably see if I could get somebody to pick me up on the way.
Yeah, I mean, the airport is actually, I didn't realize the airport was as close to the hotel and stuff as it was. It's only like a 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. So even if like you got an Uber, it's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had another friend up here that was going to go down because she's friends with some of those hognose people down in Florida.
Oh, cool.
So they were. It sounds like they have like usually the suites down at the beach level, where everybody's walking in and out. I think that was them.
Yeah, those Miami hognose people, they know how to do it.
Yeah.
What do they usually? So, like, if you went to Daytona and you bought stuff, would you be shipping it to someone else to ship to you?
I kind of just last few times I did it, my friends' friends, they took care of them until they could export them out.
Gotcha.
So it'd be like sending them home with you kind of thing, and then eventually
Right.
once the export date hits, you just ship them to New York, and when they come over.
That's cool. You got to have a lot of trust and faith, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do if you really want something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I get that.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that people aren't doing that more for stuff like Bairds and whatnot that aren't.
I think there's just
crazy
not
protected or anything.
It's kind of surprising how little people actually are into some of those things. Like, I think there's a few people, but you think there'd just be more. Like, our hobby's not like it's small up here, but it's not. There's still a hobby, so
right.
it's.
I think there is a large community, not community. It's not that community. There's a large sect of herpers or keepers that are not public at all, and they are importing some crazy stuff, big ticket stuff, but they don't have social media. They don't post pictures, you know. And like I have some friends that bring in some venomous stuff, and like they tell me flat out, like, "Oh, I'm bringing in this. You want some?" And I'm like, "What's that cost?" And it's like, "Oh, they're like $5,000 each." I'm like, "No," but like, there's no pictures posted. Like they sell like that. Nobody talks about it. So there's a lot of very private individuals. I imagine it'd be the same in your neck of the woods too.
Yeah, I think there's some people that imported shinglebacks last year or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's the one Ashley Dizan out in Ontario. She brings in a lot of European stuff. I think she's the one that's bringing in those blue rhinos, which I don't know if those are really blue rhinos or not, but due to what Matt says, right? But it's hard to. I don't know. She can only trust people what they're telling her too. So if people are lying to her, then she can't really do too much about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part though, she's brings in a lot of cool stuff, imports in a lot of monitors from the UK and that, and I think they're even trying to do stuff from Chaz with snakes and adders.
Oh, cool.
So like technically, you guys could get stuff from them too, but you guys already have most of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason like I've never considered shipping to Canada is because I always thought it was a lot of paperwork and a lot of hoops to jump through, and I never thought that for stuff like Bairds and things like that people wouldn't necessarily want to deal with the hassle of it. But you know, it wasn't until you would talk to me about it and told me that it really isn't as hardcore as you think it would be. You know, it's like if that's the case, then I'll give it a shot. I'm all for it.
Yeah. There's even like Han. I believe he does some CITES stuff too. So like he's imported most of his green trees.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
So like that stuff obviously takes a bit longer, but some of that's not too hard either, I believe.
Sure.
Obviously, you don't want to try any Aussie stuff, as we know now, but
yeah.
But I think we can still export anything really, or get in anything as long as it has paperwork.
Yeah.
So
speaking of blue snakes, Smitty, get the new hoodie on.
Oh yeah.
Let's show that sucker off.
U.S. Gonyosoma Alliance.
Booyah.
Real Gonyosoma.
We include all True Gonyosoma and Sister Taxa.
Did you guys
Sister
see that
Taxa.
picture of that other species of gonios that I don't think I've ever heard of before, like the marginata or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the Holy Grail.
Yeah, those,
I have friends that got offered some. They're really expensive.
I'm sure they are now.
Yeah.
I would be very suspicious of the legitimacy of
Yeah, they're going to show
they're-
up and you're going to get some red tails.
Oh no, they're legit. They're legit from proven dealings.
That's good.
But
I mean, in terms
too
of like
rich for
being
my blood.
sourced.
Oh no. No.
Because from what I understand, the range of those is a protected area.
Well, when you have government letterhead, nobody cares. So
Okay, sure, yeah.
You just
I
say
don't know,
it's
man.
captive hatch.
That's a. I'd be real nervous about screwing that up and those things rolling. Like knowing how just sensitive Ganyo stuff is as it's imported anyways. I'd be real nervous.
Yeah.
About screwing that up.
How are those Jansenii doing? They're doing anything yet?
Not that I've noticed. So the female shed recently, like just a couple days ago. So I'm hoping that kind of got the male going. I've been misting them pretty regularly and trying to up food, and that's the problem with the rat pups. So I need answers to this, and maybe someone knows. But if I take the mice, if I take a couple of fuzzies or a couple pinkies from a litter and leave the rest, it's no problem. But I'm wondering with rats, do I have to take the entire litter? Like I can't just take a few, because I had one litter in particular where it had been clear that the pups had been chewed on by an adult or multiple adults. I don't know. And that was a litter that I had taken, I think, like 2 from. And so it makes me wonder if someone in the chat knows, or if either of you know, like with rats, can you, is it an all or nothing thing in terms of taking stuff from them?
I always thought it was mice that were the ones that you couldn't really take
mice
a couple from.
So,
yeah, like I'm breeding
saying,
mice now too, and they're like, I haven't had issues really, other than probably not feeding them enough.
You're saying that you had a mom have a litter, and then you pulled some offspring away, and then she hurt her other babies?
I don't know if it was her, because it was this was before I started separating the girls. So this was a female with a litter with 4 or 5 other rats in the tub with her.
Yeah, I've never heard of that personally. I'm not a ratter, but I mean, I think about the mothers that we had over the years, like in the pet shops, and like wet nurses that we had in the pet shops. And think about it, we're constantly pulling their offspring away of different age, constantly, all day long, every single day. Yeah, and like the wet nurses, you'd add more babies and they would just do their job, and then we still take them away to sell to customers. So
it must have been purely coincidental, but I haven't done it since, because I was like, great, now I have to sort of figure out if it's an all or nothing thing. But Bill's saying they've taken a few from a litter and hadn't had any problems. So
yeah, I mean,
maybe it was just an asshole tub mate or something.
Not to be coarse, but like you'd have a mother that was not, a mother that was an unexpected birth, and she had, say, I don't know, 10 pinks. We would take all those 10 away from her and put them to the wet nurse, and then by that afternoon, all 10 of those rat pinks were sold. And then the next day, that wet nurse got a different litter. And we never had issues like that. So, but again, I'm not a ratter, so I don't. This is just my personal observation,
Yeah, I've had the same experience as Phil, working at a pet shop and breeding lots of rats and mice.
Yeah, and Bill puts up a good point too. Is that in a wet nurse scenario, you don't have males, so it could have very well been a male, being dominant or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there's 1 male per tub. I know there's probably a couple that may have 2. But those don't seem to have the issue that mice do when you have multiple males in a tub, where there's constant fighting and stuff. But I haven't had that issue with mice. Like I've been able to take a couple from a mice litter, and like the others don't get obliterated. So I don't know. I just wasn't sure. It must have been purely coincidental then, because that was, I think, within like the first week of getting them and setting them up, and maybe it was just a stress thing. I don't know. It's because I've just been nervous to take a couple from a litter, not knowing if that was a consequence of doing that or not.
I wouldn't worry about it at all. I mean,
I just figured rats being smarter than being like, oh, they're taking my babies. Like, let me go ahead and make sure he can't take any more of them.
I don't know. It's a good question.
But I love those little things, damn it.
They are super cute.
I walk in and they all come up to the front of the tub and just look at me. And as soon as I open the tub, they all run to the back. But then if I close it, they come right back up and they're watching me.
Yep.
And
yep.
I'm attached. Damn it.
Yeah. Bill Bradley says it also could be temperament and stress. Maybe it's just that mom. Could very well be.
Yeah.
I'll put like a whole apple in the tub and one of them will grab it and try to like run away from the others as they all try to like take it from them. And
yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh man. I was talking to, so my employer's daughter is in college, and one of her psychology classes, she had to take home a rat and train it, right? Well, she goes deep dive down this rabbit hole of different rat hole, of different rat species. And she was explaining to me that the particular line that she was working with, or that the students were working with, is the most placid and like well-tempered of all these lab rats. And I didn't realize this, but I guess there's like 4 or 5 different strains or different lines of lab rats. And the ones that we get in the herpetoculture world could be mixed up from those lines or multiple different lines, which is why you have some rats that honestly will bite a snake out of nowhere if the snake refuses a live rat or whatever. And you have other ones that don't care. The same way you have rats that will bite you as the keeper, and other rats that they just don't care. They're chill.
None of these have tried anything like that. Like I can put my hand in there and they'll come and sniff it, but none of them have like.
Oh yeah, because like I put my hand in there to take a rat or like to take a water bowl out or something, and I've been bit by two rats just reaching to put food in. So I don't know.
It was a fancy rat, Mike said.
So there you go. Special. Bill Bradley says he worked in college with blood pressure issues, and they were batshit crazy. Cannibalism all the way. So very interesting. I'm glad yours are happy rats.
They are. Like even when I'm cleaning and moving everybody, aside from them just trying to get away from me, like none of them are aggressive or anything like that. And
yeah,
I think they definitely know that I'm the one with the food now, because like I said, I walk in and they all they come staring through the wire on top at me, and until I open the tub and they're like, oh shit, take off. Some of those things are. I got a male that is huge. I named him Debo.
Nice.
Gigantic, like the biggest damn rat I've ever seen in my life.
That's awesome.
Makes it super easy to pick him out in a group and move him around, because he's just. I need to get a scale and weigh him, because I swear that thing probably weighs like 3 pounds.
Sounds like Bratz is gonna have lots of food for his carpets now.
Yeah, because I pretty much told him already. I was like, look, I'm not gonna have anything that's gonna eat adult rats. I don't, you have stuff that'll barely eat adult rats, but I'll have them. Not that I plan on offing any, anytime soon, but when the time comes and they've done their job and it's time to retire permanently, then Bratz can have at them.
Yeah, in a few years, your pines will be able to take at least small or medium rats.
I don't know, man. Like the pine we had at the nature center when I worked there years ago would be able to take one of those rats and no problem. That was a beast.
Yeah. How are you finding keeping those things?
I mean, they're fine. Mine are handleable. They're not pissy. They're not loud. They're
I find they definitely change a bit. Like they'll be chill, and then the odd time they'll be all pissy and stuff. And you might move them into an actual cage eventually,
Mhm.
and they'll definitely be like a little unrest. They'll, they'll definitely be a bit more hissy and defensive, but they seem to settle in after a few months.
Yeah, I don't know. Bratz also mentioned if you keep them warmer, they seem to definitely get crankier.
Yeah, that too. Like if you just keep them in the 70s ambient and
Mhm.
maybe a high of 82 on like the warm side or something, that'll be just fine.
But
And
my bigger male's the biggest like beggar because he's always at the front of the tub just looking at me like,
oh
"You
yeah,
got something for me today?"
also found
Nice.
using the was it those roughneck Rubbermaid bins, the blue
Mhm.
ones. Just cut a hole in there, and the snakes will spend most of their time in there anyways. Have one humid and one dry, and you can just pick up the whole tub and take it out, clean the cage, put it back in, and the snake
Mhm.
doesn't do anything. So, like, to get around a pissy pine snake, that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I'm glad mine aren't like some of Jake's. Like some of the ones Jake has are just
Oh
really
yeah,
difficult.
I got one male that's like that, but he's getting better. He's used to me now going in and out of the room. Before if he was out and you walked in the room, he would flip his shit. But now it's pretty good.
Let me ask you: do you guys have a dedicated storage container for cleaning?
Uh, I normally don't. Usually, if I most of the stuff I can just clean while opening the bin or going into the cage, and if not, I'll just grab a tub off the top, like the top of a rack, and throw them
Yeah,
in there, kind of
shove
thing.
them in there for the 10 minutes it takes you, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of what
Okay,
I'll do.
okay. Because
Like
I thought about that.
with the adults that I fed when I pulled them out of cooling and stuff the other day, because I know they were going to go so hard. I fed them in a separate container because I didn't want them getting pine all over everything
Yeah,
because you know how excited they get and stuff. And so I went ahead and just separated them and put them in like individual tubs before I put them in their regular setups. Just because like the stuff that I use is that finer shavings and it sticks to those mice and stuff so bad. It's a pain. So I was like, let me go
yeah,
ahead and circumvent this and just feed you guys before you go in there.
sure. Yeah, I
And
just didn't know if you had like one drawer empty specifically for like rotating. You know what I mean? Or if you
mhm.
just had like a Rubbermaid tub that you throw them in.
Some usually I'll have like a smaller tub and just put them in that,
Mm-hmm.
for a minute or so until while I do my thing. And so usually I'll disinfect in between as well. Just spray it with some Zep and wipe it down and do it again.
Yeah, man. Zep and
yeah,
Simple Green.
Zipper.
yeah. I
So
usually have an extra 32 cord or something lying around in the room. Just use that for whatever I need to do.
yeah, so happy that I don't have my own rodents.
They're really
Yeah.
not that bad. I don't like aside from the cost going up with the rats because they eat a lot more. Like it's not a whole lot more work than the mice are. Like instead of it takes me probably hour and a half to get everything cleaned and swapped out. But I just do that on Saturday mornings now. I
That's not
actually
bad.
kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's not
Well,
bad at all.
I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. You're blessed that you have a barn to do it in. So
With
if
high ceilings.
yeah, if I ever contemplated that in a conventional home, I would like someone
Oh yeah,
to kick
a
me in both
very
shins.
different story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have one 20-gallon with mice in it in the garage, and that smells enough.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I may
Oh,
have to start wearing like a mask or
yeah,
respirator or something because I
yeah,
have noticed like it gets dusty in there and then I get stuffy real quick, like
yeah.
borderline allergies type.
Well, I was gonna say is a lot of people that don't wear some kind of like even like I mean, COVID mask for lack of a better word, they get an allergy because they've been breathing that shit in for so long. You know?
Hmm.
I actually found I did for in high school in grade 11. I did co-op at the local zoo, and what is it, on one of the first week I helped clean the bedding and the lion the house or whatever, right?
Mhm.
That there is so much ammonia or something in that sawdust that I think I
Wow.
was sick for a week and a half.
Oof.
I'm pretty
Wow.
sure it was just because of that. Because like I was fine, and then all of a sudden, kind of felt allergies, and then I got all sick and everything. So that was
Jeez.
it was probably because of that.
Yeah, you don't think of stuff like that normally, you know, like crazy.
Oh yeah.
I don't mind it. And Bill is saying I need an alligator snapper for cleanup now.
Come on, you gotta get that Mertens
Yeah, right.
or a beaded.
I still have beadeds with my name on them.
Yes, you do.
And I
Yes,
was
you
told
do.
the other night they're not going anywhere.
Yep.
Just let me know when you're ready. It's like,
You just need to build a walk-in enclosure right behind you for the studio.
that's
Yeah,
what
or-
I thought about, like getting like a decent sized cage or something and having that sort of be the where all the stuff sits. And
I'd
I,
probably just build it out of 2x4s and literally make it like 6 feet high and 5 feet long or something, and you might as well. Like, you'd probably get the most out of the animals in that.
just make like a giant studio desk. You can even have it curved and one side's plexi and have that be your beaded enclosure as your desk for podcasting.
yeah, and then I can't smoke cigars in here though.
Yeah, just crack a window, you're fine.
I don't
It'll
know.
be all
Like
right.
you've seen my garage, man. It's not.
Yeah.
Open
It's
the
long,
door
but
every
it's not
time.
wide.
Yeah.
So it's tough, and we've got a lot of crap in here. So, but speaking of Mertens, there's a raffle going on right now
Yes, there is.
that has a Mertens available, and there's plenty of slots left. Some of the so like the BlackBox slots, those are all filled up already. The Benchmade, I think the cutter, that cigar cutter, I think that's already filled up.
Nice.
The ECW voucher is filled up.
Cool.
But there's still plenty of other stuff to go get slots on. So
Or a complete
please,
carpet python.
that's right.
And you get the conjure with that, so
Yeah.
that's
Twofer.
right. I very gently sort of flipped through that when it first came in. And after that I was like, I'm not touching it because I don't want something to happen to it. But
yeah, I haven't even bought it for myself yet, but I was like, if I should donate it if I'm gonna get one.
First thing I did was take my book and just crack it right in half. Just break that binding. That way, God forbid I damage a page or something, I don't feel bad about it. So
it's a book.
Didn't Nick
It's-
Mutton put money in his original complete carpet books?
I don't know about that.
Because so the guy that passed away, he had a book collection.
Okay.
And he had the complete carpet, the original.
Okay.
And I took it home and flipped through it, and there was two $1 bills on random pages most of the way through the book, as if Nick put that in there to see if you would read it or not.
Oh, really?
American $1 bills.
Interesting.
So I and it was signed by Nick, so I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that to see if people actually read the books or not.
You gotta message him and find out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep, there's some cave geckos, there's a leopard gecko, some poplin carpets, nice pair of corn snakes from Kasiki that I have offspring from that pair, but that female, like, I freaking love that snake, and I've been very tempted to buy a slot or two myself on that, but I don't need more corns.
Yeah.
Uh,
How's the Oreo?
the what?
Oreo Cryptophus. The
The
bamboo.
mandarin.
Oh, it's a
Oh
mandarin.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
I
it's a
forgot.
mandarin.
Sorry.
That's been a couple slots on that. So
Cool.
he has that thing listed at $2,300 on Morph Market. So
Yeah.
that's even if you bought all the slots, you're getting a good deal.
mhm.
Exactly.
And I put no cap on the slots. I never at any point said only 2 slots per person.
Let it go.
Someone wants to let it go. Let it go.
Yep.
But
And
yes,
Mike's in the chat. Yep.
he was gracious enough to donate that Mertens. And I think Bill bought a slot, and there's been a couple others that have bought a slot.
I think Bill bought a slot for everything.
Yeah.
Yep. And I tell you, if I don't have the space, I live in an apartment, and it wouldn't be fair. But if I did have the space to do it, them water lizards is high on my list. So, and if I'm ever gonna get one, it's gonna be one of Mike's, flat out. So
I tell you what I really want is that rhino art from Jeff Frederick.
Oh yeah, dude, gorgeous. Love his style, man. Love his style.
Definitely need to get some slots for that before the end of it.
I keep forgetting he sent me a amazing poster that he got in his travels of the venomous snakes of Southern Africa. And I have to get a frame for the hot room, and I have the thing in the hot room just sitting there. I keep forgetting to get the frame, but man, he's a stand-up fella. We got to get him back on air.
Mm-hmm. I already have, so I wasn't sure as far as when the time comes for the raffle whether we should use the old bingo ball roller. I decided that I think we need to make this more like the Powerball. So I took a pork rinds jar.
Pork rinds. How southern.
From work. And I cut a hole in the lid here, and then had to do surgery with a soldering iron to get it because I cracked it.
Oh, jeez.
Frankenstein it back together. But it's got 15 balls in here, and it actually works pretty well. I was literally looking into actual things to draw ping pong balls from because I have all these numbered.
Mm-hmm.
But if I shake this thing up and just flip it upside down, it works perfectly.
You got to hook a leaf blower up to it. So
I thought about figuring out a way to do that too. There's people that have on YouTube that show you how to make one with a shop vac, but I was
dude. Stick a shop vac on there, and we'll get Jake to put on a dress, and he can be Vanna White.
That's right.
He has to use his toes though.
He's got to grab it out of the jar with his toe.
The foot. Oh
so
man,
that's ready to go.
You're forgetting the Bratz's the Milmorum that he has.
Yes.
It looks like Connor wants all of them, it seems.
Oh. And hey, thanks, Stefani, man. You're awesome.
Rig that up in your garage. I was looking into it. It seemed like a lot more work than it really needed to be for what it was. So, and to buy one on Amazon that does that, even just a ball, a ping pong ball selector thing, they were $300 or $400. I was like, you're out of your mind. Stupid.
You know what that's for? That's for professional bingo.
I know.
Yeah.
Nothing against our little bingo ball roller thing. That served its purpose, but
we can still use it. Just this one's special.
I feel like the ping pong balls is better.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I numbered them.
Yeah.
And I still have some extras, but I'm ready. We're going to draw on the 27th, unless everything fills up before then. So please go to herpetoculturenetwork.com. It should be right there on the homepage. Plenty of slots left. Original art from Jeff Frederick, like we said, that rhino rat art. Doc Wyman has this fish fossil that he's been
that's super cool,
carving himself, cleaning up and stuff. That's really neat. And then Cold Blood Studio, really nice copperhead original art piece as well, which I also I want to get a slot on. I think that THN tack bag is almost full.
Oh, that's cool.
And what else was there? There's a lot of stuff. So there's 27 items. And then there was some stuff that people wanted to add after we had sort of kicked it off. And I unfortunately I turned them down because I didn't want to add stuff after people had already been buying slots.
Right.
And then people would be like, well, had I known you were going to add this, I would have got slots for that. But I've already sort of spent what I wanted to spend. So I just said,
Yeah.
We've already started. Maybe when we do another one later in the year or something, we'll come back around. But it's just kind of one of those things where it said I should have actually done like a last call thing before I posted it and been like, look, it's going live, last chance, get in while you still can. And
well, I mean, this is obviously for a fantastic cause, and I hate to say it like this, but there will be more raffles, and for other wonderful things, and yes, Billy Jenkins says there's a fantastic California king snake.
And so help me God, if someone wins that and tells me I can keep it, it's going in the next raffle.
It hurts you to take care of it.
It sucks. That thing sucks.
What do you have against Lamprey-Peltis?
I don't have a thing against Lamprey-Peltis. I have a thing against stuff.
You do. Oh, come on.
I love Theori and I love Alterna.
You're the only Southern boy that I know that doesn't like the Getula complex. You are.
I like Eastern Kings.
All right.
But Cal Kings, Brooks, Floridas, all of those can go straight to hell.
Sorry,
how you people enjoy keeping those is beyond me.
It's great. They're adorable.
Amazons are more fun than freaking Getula are.
I sit there and like when I go over Anna Maria's house and I watch her interact with her Florida King through the enclosure glass. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but dude, that snake switched on, man. Like for a king snake. I mean, king snakes are pretty derpy. This thing, like, it knows when we come in the room. It's looking for food. It knows when the lights come. Like, it's switched on, man. I love them. They're great.
Yeah, this thing's switched on too. Isn't like every time I open the tub, it just wants to murder me.
It's because it knows that you are afraid of it.
It has nothing but hatred for me.
It says,
or anything for that matter.
It says the bearded one is back. I'm gonna scare him like a child.
And Keller's a real ass for dropping it with me. I've got a Brooks that would change your mind. I doubt that.
The only thing that's going to change your mind is black milk.
As much as everyone's been talking about those, they look like they'd be fun. Those I wouldn't mind.
Dude, black milk's a killer, man.
Just keep them room temperature. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Like have you played with in the past?
Have you played with Mexican black kings?
I had some as a kid.
Okay. Black milks are way better. Way better.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. And Sean's in the chat. Sean and I have the best kings, the Outer Banks kings.
Don't try to church it up. They're just Getula that are fancy looking.
You shut your whore mouth. These are Barrier Island deliciousness.
No, I didn't have Mexican black kings. I had Splendida. What are those?
Desert king.
Probably
I had some of those. Yeah, those weren't much fun either. Like Hondurans were okay. They were just super spazzy and did nothing but musk you. All the cow kings I've had were horrible.
Mexican black kings don't suck, Harry. They're just little spastic.
All the Getula stuff I've had from the time I was but a boy. That's when my problem with Getula started. Was we had a Brooks when I was a kid that would do that bullshit where it was all calm and cool. And you had it out, and then you'd look down, and it was like eating your finger, like straight up to the knuckle, going to town. And you'd be like, what the hell, dude? And you would, every time, pick it up. You're like, might not bite me, probably will. Untrustworthy, like little freaking schizophrenic psychopath of a snake.
Oh my God. You got bad touched by a Brooks eye.
And ever since, I have... especially Brooks and Florida's, like those are like at the top. Those are at the top of like my fuck you list. Brooks and Florida's. California's right underneath that. Keller's California's at the top of the list, period. Like that little albino one he gave me. I think maybe it's because it's an albino. It's so horrible.
Oh, probably.
I kind of want to win that snake just to prove you wrong.
As long as it's at your house, great. Please do.
The thing's
What
gonna
do you
probably
mean
chill out once it gets 3 feet long. And
It's going to chill out the minute I
Probably
take
just
care
like
of
that
it.
scrub did, Phil.
Yeah, exactly.
That super calm
Yeah.
tannin bar.
Yeah, that tannin bar that Dr. Wyman's daughter takes out and plays with
Ask
by
Wyman
herself.
about it now. Guess what? He can't do that no more. That thing's horrible.
Okay. All right.
What do you mean I've suffered through rhinos? There's nothing to suffer through with rhinos. Rhinos are perfect because rhinos don't have the game playing bullshit.
And Harry, we said Goinai in this chat, by the way. Nothing against Dr. Means. We say Goinai.
Yeah, I saw that comment.
Well, gentlemen.
To the doll where the Getula touched you. I believe it was right to here.
Well, gentlemen, we're at the 2-hour mark. So, Michael, where can people find you?
You can just find me on Facebook. It's just my name, Michael Gillen, and Instagram, Michael_Gillen. nothing too special.
Michael
Nice.
Guillon.
I like it. It's good.
Well, this episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check it out. You need a rack, you need a cage. BlackBox is all the rage. Use the code THN at checkout. Get 10% off your order. And enjoy getting your rack inside of a 2 to 3 week lead time. You can wait the full 3 trimesters.
And in one piece.
That's right. You can wait an eternity and then some to get your cage, or maybe just get it and never know when it's going to show up. Like a deadbeat dad might just show up at your doorstep unexpectedly. BlackBox isn't going to let you down like that. BlackBox is just going to be there. And then Puget Sound Pythons. Also check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Phil done froze up. This was episode 151. We'll be back Thursday for THP. Other than that, check out the raffle on our website. Link below if you're listening to this or watching this after the fact. Pay $50 less to wait a year. That's right. Billy knows what's up. BioGs went quick in that raffle, so if you were wanting to get in on those, you slept on it too long. Those went way quicker than I thought they would. Like I knew they'd go fast, but those things filled up in no time. So just a couple BioGs, which are awesome. That's the size that I use, the size that I love. Got my a lot of my rhinos in those, all my rhinos except one. So thank you. We'll see everybody later. Mike, thanks. Take it easy.
Take it easy.